So when it comes to God and the belief in God, God, Jesus Christ, Jehovah, and all these other entities are all man-made deities. God is a deity. Jesus Christ is a deity. They're all man-made deities. So when it comes to identifying oneself in the realm of their etherealism and where they come from, you can't equate them to deity. You have to equate them to source. So I believe in source, not deity. Source is the energy and the information that flows through every living thing that we see, animate and inanimate, within the sphere of planet Earth. All things that we can perceive is life energy and life source. All things that we can perceive, all things that we know to be, has that same information of source energy flowing within it. And that same source energy and that same information that flows through all living things, animate and inanimate, is the same information and the same source energy that makes up the one that we call you, or us, or I, or the me. So in essence, if we all make up the same source energy and carry within us the same information, then that means that we are all the same and the same in one. We are all part of it. So if we talk about God, or this being that's above the sun, moon, and stars, that's responsible for creation, indicative of him, the only thing that we could relate to anything that has anything to do with divinity in response to ourselves and creation is source energy and that information that flows through everything. So you are that source energy. You are a part of that information that flows through every living thing, whether it's the water, the trees, the grass, whatever it is. And you're knowing that and understanding that and becoming aware of that is going to determine how far along you become awakened to the knowledge that you are indicative to the God that everyone subscribes to as being the head or the creator of creation. So the more in the know you are to this, the more aware you become of this, the more you become aware of your abilities to demonstrate this. It's just like a child. A child wasn't always a child. A child, before it became a child, was a little infant. And that infant had all the potential to walk, to talk, to dance, to run, to skip, to read. He had all the potential because he has arms and legs and he has a developing brain. So he has all the potential to be all these things. But it's not until that infant goes through the different stages of development and starts to become more and more aware of itself that it becomes more and more acquainted and intimately involved with its own abilities. And through the evolutionary process of that baby, once it becomes a child, now it can do all the things it couldn't do as an infant. It can use all the extremities that it has to move itself around. It may have started off crawling, but then from crawling it went to walking. And that infant went from walking to eventually running. And as a child, now that child can now run faster, can walk faster, can crawl faster, can grab things, is aware of itself, and not only itself, but now can comprehend the world around them and its relationship to it. So it's the same thing when it comes to the living soul. The knowledge of who and what we are has to be a gradual evolutionary process. And the more evolved you become, the more knowledgeable and aware of you become of yourself and who and what you are, the more easier it'll become for you to exist within this stage of existence. The more abilities you'll become aware of, the more things you'll be able to accomplish. Now, some of us, if we're too indoctrinated into religion and deity, then a lot of us will never reach this level. We'll never reach the plateau of understanding the God that we are, the infinite that we are, the source energy that we all are a part of, the information of that source energy that makes us all who we are. We'll never become aware of it if we're so indoctrinated and so entrenched in belief systems and deity. We'll never become aware of it. And that's really the secret to keeping people and keeping human beings trapped and confined to a state of servitude, a state of servicing of the mind. It's exactly what it is. Because if I can keep you believing that you're something outside of what you are, then I can control you. If I can make a rich man believe he's poor, then I can be rich. But if that poor man knows that he's rich, he knows that he has abundance, he knows that he has everything that he's access to, then it's only so long before he becomes aware of all of his abilities and disrobes the ideal of him being this thing that is degraded and has no way of means of uplifting himself out of his reality. So the more you become aware of what you are, the more you'll be able to interchange your realities at will. You can move from one state of reality to another. You can create one state of being only to leave to be in another. But you have to become acquainted with self. And the self we're talking about is the infinite self. The self that is a part of the all self. The part of you that exists. The part of you that is aware of this existence. Source energy. The information of that source energy. The same flowing energy that's within you. The tree, the grass, the ground, everything has a consciousness. Everything has a consciousness. Even the trees have a consciousness. Even though that tree is not moving, that tree is moving. As we as beings move around the earth, traveling from place to place, interacting with soul to soul, the trees are interacting the same exact way we are. Even though it appears they are immobile, the trees, the grass, and all things that are inanimate are experiencing their own adventures. Though we cannot perceive or comprehend what those adventures are because of our state of existence and how we perceive life, it doesn't mean that their life is any less significant or any less or more significant. So we have to understand this, that we are all the same and the same in one, and there's only different perspectives of the one source energy expressing itself over and over again through different various ways of life. And the more acquainted we become with ourselves and what we are, the more easier of a task this life will be for us. And in addition to knowing this, we also must realize, in the same note, that we are the ones responsible for our blessings and our cursings. We are responsible for both perspectives of the equation. The more aware we are of who and what we are, will be granted to ourselves more blessings. The less aware of who and what we are will also be granted the same, but it will be in cursings. So our successes and our failures are all based upon our knowledge of who and what we are. Understanding that we are not deity. Understanding that there's no power outside of us. The only power and the only energy that could ever exist that is responsible for creation and all things that we can perceive and not perceive is all a part of the makeup of the one that we call you, me, I, and us. There's nothing outside of that. We are a part of it all. We make up the complete design of the infinite source. We are a part of it, and it is a part of us. We may be in measure, we may be in sample, but the potency still remains the same. It doesn't lose its potency because it is expressing itself in a different container, it maintains the same potency, the same power. But because it's been separated, now it has to become aware of what it is. It's not a part of the entire whole equivocally anymore, as it may appear to be, though it always will be. But now that it's been separated, it has to understand that it has no identity of its own. It is not individual. It is not separate. And it's always a part of the entire whole, the entire infinite. And the realization of that has to be a gradual, even evolutionary process that the soul has to endure and go through. And the objective of the living soul is to reach this level, this plateau of understanding that it is all things. All things is it. And understanding that it has no separation. Because by thinking that it is separate and individual, automatically dilutes its ability and its potency to be great, to be amazing. Because it thinks it's separate from the intimate or the infinite. It feels it's separate from the infinite power. So if it feels it's separate from the infinite power, then it feels it has to pray and beg and plead for its abilities to uplift them. But if the soul realizes that it never was separated from the infinite power, the infinite of everything, and realizes that it is always a part of it, just in a different form, a different illustration, expressing itself in a different container, they can always will itself to live in one place of existence to the next, to live in one form of reality into the next. He is not confined to being one thing. He is only confined to being everything. And this is where the soul will evolve. Here in this state of existence, the confinement of his cell called the human body.